Hi there. So now that you've gone through Module 2, Session 1, and you've engaged with the VIISTA 5-stage advocacy process, I thought it would be helpful to spend some time reviewing the stages of the process and how you were able to engage with them during different exercises and learning activities in this Module 2, Session 1. So as we know, the 5-stage VIISTA advocacy process starts with researching the law. In Session 1, you've learned about various areas of immigration law, including naturalization, derivation and acquisition of citizenship, adjustment of status, consular processing. Those are all affirmative benefits, immigration benefits, that immigrants can apply for affirmatively with USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So in the process, in the advocacy process, the first thing that you need to do is research the law. And when you're researching the law, you want to start with your horn book or your case book, your textbook, in order to get an overview of what the law is. And then you look at the actual law itself, the regulations and the statutes, and the forms. The forms are also often very helpful to help you to figure out what elements you need to establish to prove eligibility. So once you're finished with that process, that stage of the process, researching the law, the next stage is gathering facts. So in this Module 2, Session 1, one of the things that you've done is thought about the law and then thought about what questions you would want to put on your intake form in order to elicit the facts that you need to prove to establish eligibility for the immigration benefit. That's stage 2 of the process. Then in stage 3 of the process, you pull together the facts and the law to engage in case analysis, to determine and assess whether your client could potentially be eligible for an immigration benefit, and also to assess any risks that are involved in applying for that benefit. So you're looking at the eligibility requirements and also the risks. And then you make an assessment, usually with the help of a supervising attorney or someone else in your office, to determine whether you think your client should apply for the benefit. Once you've determined that your client can apply, you move on to the next stage of the process, which is submitting your application and organizing that submission. So you complete the form on behalf of your client, have your client sign the form, and then gather any documentary evidence that you need to establish some of the facts that you need to prove for the case. So that might be birth certificates or marriage certificates or medical records. There are all sorts of documentary evidence that you might need to gather in order to prove eligibility for a particular form of benefit. And that's the 4th stage of the process, is that submission. So completing the form, gathering the evidence, writing a cover letter, and assembling it all and filing it with USCIS. Make sure you have proof of service so that you have a record that you submitted it to USCIS. And make sure you keep a copy for yourself and give a copy to your client. And then the 5th stage of the process is the adjudication. That's the fun part. That's the part we've been waiting for and working toward. But before you actually get to the adjudication, you want to practice. Engage in a role play or a moot of the adjudication with your client before the actual event. Invite your client into your office, and either you or preferably someone else in your office can ask the client the questions that you anticipate the client will be asked during the adjudication. That practice is just as important for you as it is for your client, to have the client be ready and comfortable with the kinds of questions that they're going to be asked during the adjudication. You need to practice your own role during that process as well. So practice what you would say to the officer, what concerns might arise and how you would respond to those concerns. Prepare some closing summary of why you think your client's eligible, and practice saying those things aloud before you get to the adjudication. This fifth stage, as I said, the adjudication, is really what you've been working toward. And hopefully, as you, having gone through the process in a systematic way, you'll be ready to get the relief that your client is eligible for. Good luck.